Hi, my name is Mark. Welcome to Element 14 Presents. Today we'll be building a photo booth. And a photo booth is nothing more than a specific camera setup that can be used to take selfies with you or your friends while wearing different kind of props like a hat, a mustache, sunglasses, you name it. Usually a photo booth includes a photo printer for you to print the photo on the spot. But we're not going to do that. Instead, we'll be sharing the photo live on Telegram. That way, we're not only saving a lot of photo paper and ink or toner because we're not printing, it's also more environment friendly. The good thing is you share the photo with everybody at the party on the spot and everybody can enjoy the fun. So let's start building. Okay, we're going to build this photo booth using an ESP32 CAM module. Now the ESP32 CAM module comes in different versions regarding the camera. And I choose a camera with a bit longer flat cable and a wide angle lens. I like wide angle lens because when I take group photos, I don't have to hassle who's in the photo or not, because it's just a wide angle. Of course you can choose a different camera, that's totally up to you. You also need a programmer. I use an FTDI 232, and we need that because the ESP32 CAM module doesn't have a serial port on board or USB. It doesn't have, and we need to use this programmer that converts USB to serial, and then we can hook up some wires to program it. I'll show you how to do that later. We'll also need a button, because to start taking a selfie, one should press the button or send a Telegram notification. You might want to disable that, that's up to you. It depends on your friends or your guests, because if everybody starts sending random commands to take photos, then you see a lot of flashlights and not really the best photos. But again, that's up to you. I also ordered an external antenna because this will be using Wi-Fi and I want to have a strong connection. If you're going to use this antenna, you do need to modify the ESP32 module. I will show you that in a bit. Of course, we have a power connector. I have one that already has 2 wires. I'm going to use a connector, a pin socket to hook up the wires so I don't have to solder onto the ESP32. You'll need a power supply of 5 volts, and we'll be using some LED strips, and in my case 5 LEDs will do, so I will just cut it to 5 LEDs and we'll solder that up later. And of course, talking about soldering, we'll need some wires. So let's start building. Of course, it's up to you to make a nice design for your photo booth. I've seen people who took an old cigar box and mounted the camera in there, or made a nice wooden box or plastic. I even saw one made of Lego, so that's totally up to you. I, on the other hand, decided to use a plexiglass plate. This is acrylic, and I just put the name photo booth on top. I already lasered out holes for the camera and the button, and I included a QR code for my Telegram bot. So if you want to do that, make sure you skip ahead and do the Telegram setup first, so you have a link to create this QR code. And then I included in the lasering, so people just have to scan the QR code to join the group, and then you can just start taking photos. Maybe it's wise to change that QR code to every party by changing the name of the bot or the link, or creating a new bot. So if you have different parties, people will not be bothered with photos that are not meant for them. Okay, so I lasered out this plate, so it's easy for me to mount the buttons. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mount the components. First thing I'm going to do is the button, and it goes right there. That's a push button, normally open, which means when I close it, the contacts are closed and the ESP will react. The ESP, it's simple. Once you mounted the flat cable into the ESP32, sometimes when you order them, it's already mounted for you. So the camera goes into the hole, obviously, and then the ESP32 I will mount down using some double-sided tape, like so. So the pinhole of the camera is a tight fit. I lasered it exactly the right size, so when I push the camera in, it's just stuck in there and I don't even need to glue it up. Another thing we will be adding is a little plastic to mount a power connector and of course our antenna. because I do include Wi-Fi, like I said. That way the signal is a bit stronger, and even if I have a weak Wi-Fi signal, I still have a connection to the internet, which is kind of mandatory for this to work. On the ESP32, there is a resistor that you need to change the position, because by default it uses the onboard antenna, but if you want to use an external antenna, you need to change that resistor. So let me show you under a microscope, and I recommend you use a microscope for soldering it because it's a very small component, and you need to change it. You see 3 markings, and now the jumper is set on 2 of them, and you need to change it from the middle to the right. You actually just need to mirror it, and then it's hooked up to the external antenna. So you just change the jumper from one position to the other, and you're good to go. Now the first hole I'm going to drill is for the power connector, and the other one will be for the antenna. Okay, so first things first, let's do the antenna. So that's our antenna, and of course we have our power connector that goes in there, like so. So all we need to do is take some glue, and then we'll just put it here, like so. Before we start wiring up, let me show you the schematic. On the right, you see the power connector that you can use to hook up a 5-volt power supply. Just below it is the LED strip, and I use 5 pixel LEDs of WS2812B. Pay attention to the data direction because it has a data input and a data output. We also have a push button that you can use to take a selfie. Now on the left, you see the programmer and the jumper you need for programming. Well, both of them can be removed once everything's up and running, and then the schematic looks like this. Okay, so let's finish up the wiring, and then we'll do some programming and we're ready to go. So the first thing we're going to do is attach some wires to our LED strip. We have our ground pin, we have our data line, and we have our power. We are going to paste it right there. That way the flashlight is exactly where I want it to be. You can see I made a little slot of the hole instead of just a hole, this little slot, and then it's easier for me to stick the wire through. See how that works out, like so. There we have it. Now it's time to hook up the wires. First thing, let's change the ground from the incoming power connector, and for that we need a ground wire going to the ESP32, a ground wire to the button, and a ground wire to the LEDs. And the LEDs, that's going to be easy because it's already there. So that's our ground. Then we have a ground wire going to the switch. So that's our ground wire. Let's now change the plus 5-volt wire. There, and we have the switch, and for the switch I need another wire, and that's going to be easy. Like so, and we're good to go. Now all the wiring is done, and it's high time to do some testing, but first we'll have to hook up the programmer and program the thing. So let me show you how I hook up the programmer. First we have our ground, we have our plus 5-volt. For programming I just take off the connector and put this one on, like so. So basically this is how I connect my programmer temporarily, and then when I start programming, all I need to do, take the cable and plug it in. Let's go. So this is the sketch for the simple photo booth version 1.0. And let me break it up into pieces because I'm not going to run down the whole code. You can do that on your own. There's a lot of comment for you to see how it works. But what it comes down to is every time we run the device or we boot it up, the setup is run once, and then it does some initialization of stuff like the Wi-Fi. It makes connection to the Telegram bot, and it will send a welcome message. And then it will move on to the main loop that will run continuously, and it will check for incoming Telegram messages and handle them, or it will handle a press of a button. It might want to verify the message, do a countdown, take and send a photo while the flashlight is on. One thing you need to pay attention to, there are 3 settings that you might want to change depending if you make your own hardware or just follow what I did. If you use an exact copy of what I did and you use the same pin numbers, you don't need to change it. But if you connect your LED strip to a different pin, then you need to change or check this pin. The new pin, mine is connected to pin 12. The number of LEDs on the LED strip, my strip size is 5, and you can change that to your likings. And of course we have our input for a push button, which is pin 13 in my case. I'm assuming you already know how to add the ESP32 boards to your Arduino environment. If you don't, take a look at our previous videos. Each video that I made that includes an ESP32 will tell you how to do that. First, let's select the right board. We have the ESP32 Arduino boards, Thinker ESP32 CAM module. And then you need to hook up the programmer accordingly, because this ESP32 doesn't have a USB or a serial port, but you need to add either an external programmer or a piggyback PCB to make that happen. Just follow the schematic and you're good to go. And after hooking it up, you connect it and you select the right COM port, and then you can just press compile and upload. So you're going to start your Telegram on your cell phone, or in this case I did on the computer, and you're going to search for Botfather. And you're going to click it, and Botfather is a tool to create your own bot, as in robot, that will be used to communicate with our ESP32. Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to say /new bot, and you press enter, and then you will just follow the steps. It will ask you, okay, new bot, how are we going to call it? I know many names are taken, so I'm just going to take one, obviously, that is not likely to be taken. Good. Now let's choose a username for your bot. It must end in bot, and we're going to make it I am great bot. This name has to be unique, so yeah, sometimes it happens it's already taken. Let's try another one. I am great bot. Yeah, and that's accepted. Now once that is done, this is important, you have to copy this one. It says use this token to access the HTTP API. We really need that, so make sure you copy that to another document so you can paste it later. It's very important that each character in here matches whatever you're going to type later. I'm going to see my bots now, and there should be one that we just named, which is I am grade 3 bot, this one. Click it, here it is, you click this one, and this is important, you press start, because without pressing start it will never work. You have to start it one time, and one time only. Now it's ready. So another thing we need is our user ID. For that you're going to search for ID bot. You click it and then you /type get ID. And there's your ID number. So when the Wi-Fi manager start, we see the name of the temporary network we created. It's new test access point. Of course you can change that in the sketch if you want to. First thing you need to do is click configure Wi-Fi. Here you can enter your Telegram token and your ID, and for the time zone you can change this. It's very important that you select a network and enter your password so that it can be saved, because if you don't, none of this will be saved. For example, what happened here is now if I press save, it's going to save those parameters, and you wait until it's all started, and then here it will confirm saving configuration. Now you know it's in there, your configuration is saved. Now if you didn't enter your Wi-Fi credentials, you forgot because you think it's already filled out, then this will not happen, it will not save. So it's very important to enter those credentials each time. Okay, so to join the fun, all you need to do is scan the QR code using your camera. That will take you to your predefined Autobot. Join it, and then you're ready to go. Put on your best dresses and take a photo by pressing the button. There are two ways of taking a photo. First one is to press the button and wait for the lights to count down, and when they're 0 it will flash and take a photo. Another option is to use your Telegram and send the command /take photo, and it will do the exact same thing. Although this setup is easy to build and it will cost you less than $10, I must say quality comes at a price. The thing is, the photos you can take with this device are good enough for social media, good enough to have some fun sharing among friends, but they're not nearly good enough to have a quality printout. So if you want to print your photos, this setup is not a way to go. So I can only conclude, in order to build a high quality photo booth, I have to change hardware. And I'm already looking at the possibilities of using a Raspberry Pi Zero with a high definition camera and even a real photo printer. And I must say, so far I'm very optimistic. But that's something for a whole other video. This is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, if you have any questions, feel free to visit the Element 14 community. We have a project page, and you can ask questions, leave comments, and I'll do my best to answer each and every one of you. Until then, I see you next time.